Hello and welcome back. We're now covering Chapter 3 of the Project Management presentations. Today's topic is Organization, Strategy, and Culture. Looking at our roadmap, we've covered the introduction to the textbook, the introduction to project management, and we've talked a little bit about strategy. This chapter is on the organization that implements the projects. So project management structures refers to the challenges of organizing projects. Projects are unique and short duration, and they are relative to ongoing longer-term organizational activity. So while projects are taking place, ordinary business is also taking place. So you need multidisciplinary and cross-functional teams in order to keep the business operating as well as perform these projects. Managers must choose an appropriate project management structure, and the best system balances the needs of the project with the needs of the organization. So in class, we talk a little bit about resources that are needed to complete projects, and being able to have a structure that allows your project to be completed as well as your operations to be completed is essential. So organizing projects, a functional organization. Different functional units handle different segments of the project, sometimes known as a work stream. Coordination is maintained through normal management channels. So the functional managers, the department managers, are still playing a major role in the project, although there is a project manager. The functional organization is used when the interest of one functional area dominates a project, or one functional area has the dominant interest in the project success. So essentially that means the project manager is going to come from this functional area normally, in the case where you have a functionally organized project. This slide illustrates a typical organization. So if we have an engineering project, these are the functional areas that project might emanate from, and more than likely there would be an engineering project manager to manage while these other functional areas are involved in the project. The advantages shown here of a functional organization of a project: no structural changes are needed, no new organizational structure for a particular project is needed. There's flexibility, you have your experts working, and there's easy post-project transition. There's no ending of the teams, closing out, etc. The disadvantage is the lack of focus, because these individuals are focusing on normal everyday activities, sometimes for integration across the different cross-functional areas. The projects usually run slowly, and unless the project comes from a specific area, as I mentioned before, then there might be a lack of ownership. Having a dedicated team means that the teams will operate as separate units under the leadership of one full-time project manager. In a projectized organization where projects are the dominant form of business, functional departments are responsible for providing support for its teams. And my experience with that has been mainly in IT programs. Software companies often have a projectized organization. This shows an example of a functional organization hierarchy, and then a projectized portion of, or the project team, which is a part of that organization. What this chart does not show is that often members of these functional areas are on this team, or participate in this team in some level, or it could be that these people have been taken from their jobs in this organization, and now they are dedicated to this role. But often it's difficult to dedicate a person to a project because they do have other functions that they need to perform. The advantages of a dedicated team are shown here. It's simple, fast, cohesive, cross-functional integration, very good for agile projects. The disadvantages are it's expensive to have people working only on a project. It may cause some problems in your areas of work, limited technological expertise, and there may be difficulty in post-project transition. So, for example, ending a project where teams have been dedicated only to that work, sometimes it's hard to fit them back into the organization if other people have been performing work. And this is just an example of a projectized organizational structure. A matrix structure is a hybrid of what we just discussed, the functional and the projectized. So it's overlaid on the normal functional structures. Two chains of command exist, functional and project. Project participants report to both their functional and the project managers. And the matrix structure optimizes the use of resources. It allows for participation on multiple projects while performing normal functional duties. It achieves a greater integration of expertise and project requirements. So this structure shows the hierarchy of where everyone works, who they report to up the chain, but then it has a cross matrix where there's a project that they're all working on. And this is typical of many organizations because, as mentioned, the projectized organization is expensive. This allows for more flexibility and takes advantage of both the structures. The division of responsibility in this matrix structure show that the project manager is concerned with what has to be done, when should it be done, how much money is available to do it, and how well has a total project been done. Issues might be who will do the task and working with the functional manager to understand how it will be done. So the project manager and the functional managers will be negotiating these questions shown. This slide describes various forms of the matrix: the weak, balanced, and strong form. The weak form states that the authority of the functional manager is the dominant authority, and the project manager has indirect authority. Balanced, the project manager sets the plan, and the functional manager determines how work is to be done. The strong form, the project manager has broader control, and functional departments act as subcontractors to the project. So the balanced form is probably the most likely form that you would see working in most organizations. The advantages of the matrix form are shown here. That it could be efficient, it has a stronger project focus, easier post-project transition to get people back into their roles, and it's more flexible. However, the disadvantages are shown as conflict, infighting. It could be stressful and also slow, depending on the type of projects that one would be working on. So the question here is, what is the right project management structure? It depends on how important the project is, the percentage of core work that involves the projects, and what level of resources are available in the organization. Other considerations: project size, strategic importance, novelty or need for innovation, the number of departments involved, the cross-functional need, environmental complexity, budget and time constraints, stability, and resource requirements. This slide describes the organizational culture, which is also a consideration when deciding what type structure is needed or what type structure is actually used within a company. The organizational culture is defined as a system of shared norms, beliefs, values, and assumptions which bind people together. It is the personality of the organization that sets it apart from other organizations, provides a sense of identity to its members, helps legitimize the management system of the organization and clarifies and reinforces standards of behavior. This slide lists the key dimensions that define an organization's culture. So number one, the member identity is the person's job with respect to the organization. The team emphasis is the individual identity with respect to the group, within a group of the work group. The third is the management focus, the task, the people involved. 4, independent or interdependent unit integration. And it goes on through control, risk tolerance, how tolerant of risk is an organization, low or high. Reward criteria. Is your reward based on performance or some other criteria? Conflict tolerance, means end orientation, and open system focus, internal or external. So the challenges for project managers who navigate organizational culture, interacting with the culture and subculture of the parent organization is something that the project manager will have to navigate. Also with the project's clients or customer organizations, whether they are internal or external customer or both. And also interacting with other organizations that are connected with the project. So the project manager is basically having to go through these different groups and work with different groups. And as you're reading the book, many times most of the work done involves communication with these other organizations, also known as stakeholders. So the key terms from this chapter that we covered: balance matrix, dedicated project team matrix as the structure for operations and projects, the organizational culture and projectized organization as also another structure, the project office, the office that manages the projects, strong matrix and weak matrix organization. Next, we'll move on to Chapter 4.